Hello and welcome to an interview for the Cheatham County Archives. I'm Kerry McCarver. This program came about after the archives were created back in 2017, 2018 for Cheatham County. Archivist Walter Pitt discovered as he was setting the archives up some audio recordings of interviews conducted by Paul Randall Dickerson years ago. And he had interviewed the then county historian Bud Hyams, several veterans, several other notable folks around Cheatham County at that time. And so we started talking, and Walter really wanted to put some more interviews together to put in the archives now that they are established. And we talked about we can do video now. The technology is there, we can do video interviews. So that's how this came about, and you'll see several interviews in the coming days and weeks, we hope, as we secure more icons and legends of Cheatham County to interview. And if you have someone in mind, let somebody know, either the archivist or our office, mayor's office. We'd be glad to try to get them on the list, try to work it out. But it's indeed a pleasure for my first interview to welcome someone who has had such a positive impact on my life, and so many who attended Cheatham County Central High School. Anyone who enters Cheatham County High School through the front doors, you look over to the left, you will see the Joyce Mayo Theater. And so it is indeed an honor to have with us today, Joyce Mayo. Welcome, Miss Mayo.
Kerry, thank you, Kerry.
How have you been?
I'm glad to be above ground.
Well, aren't we all? Absolutely.
Yes.
Well, it's good. Good to have you with us today. And I wanted to, and of course, the other thing about these interviews we want to talk about, because you grew up in Cheatham County.
Do you want to know ancient history?
That's why you're here.
Now, now that I am 84, and I don't mind telling that, I never thought I would live to be 84. I have a biblical background, and I thought 70 from 70 on. I thought anytime God might call me home.
Now, you grew up in the...
Oh, I grew up out on Blue Spring Road, right next to Mount Zion Freewood Baptist Church. My daddy was a farmer. My mother had a farm background. She loved being outside much more than being inside. I had 3 brothers. I was the oldest. And so therefore I had to do the housework while the boys got to go out and do stuff like that. Now, it doesn't mean that I never worked. Yeah, I worked in the fields. And I had that rural background, and I'm so thankful for it because it made me who I am.
What kind of crops did your dad?
Oh, my daddy grew dark fired tobacco, and then in the summertime, he grew all of these vegetables, cucumber, squash, potatoes, whatever. He could load up that ragged old truck and take it downtown, especially on Friday, to the Nashville, the farmer's market. And he made enough money to carry us through the summer.
And what schools did you attend?
I went to Mount Zion Elementary School, 1 through 8. It was a good school. I'm going to say this. There were good teachers and there were bad teachers.
Let's talk about the good teachers.
Because I became a teacher myself, but my best friend, Annette Perry, became a teacher. And her mother said she saw when we were little girls that what we played, we would play school. Yes. No, I wouldn't call any bad names, but there were a few teachers that I think their husbands didn't provide well, so therefore they had to sleep half the time. I think I didn't learn a thing in that person's class. But thank goodness they had a mobile library. Living way out in Mount Zion, every so many days, the library would come out and they'd leave a batch of books and take the others. Well, Annette and I read every book in a short while. We were ready for another one because we could just entertain. When you become a reader, now I'm going to teach you a little. When you become a reader, you never have to be bored.
So Mount Zion was 1 through 8.
1 through 8, and then I got to come over to the big school.
Oh my.
I finally got to ride a school bus because, hey, I lived about a fourth a mile from school, and we walked to school every day, every morning. Then you learned a lot of the other kids that lived on down the road. They walked out your way, and you walked with them. You learned to love these people. There, down where all those trees are now, that was on the Mount Zion Elementary School property, there was a big swamp. And every winter, all that water would freeze, and at recess, we would go down there, and so those older boys, they would smooth out, and we would do this ice skating. Ooh, we had such fun. Yeah. And we had an outdoor basketball court. It was a dirt court.
Now, were you good athletic? Did you play basketball?
Oh, you shouldn't have asked that.
Shouldn't
You don't give me a chance to brag.
Okay.
Yes, our little team won the county tournament, the girls. June Cranch Nicholson,
Yes,
that's
Miss June.
still living, commissioner over there in Pleasantville at one time. June, she was a Spitfire. Ann Giroux,
Oh, my.
one of the greatest basketball players that Cheatham County ever produced.
I mean, were you inspired by, you talk about some teachers in elementary school were good, some weren't so good. Was any teacher that inspired you and said, made you think, I would want to be a teacher?
My first grade teacher, I just loved her.
And who was that?
It was Miss Doris Ellis. She was Doris Perry. All of the men had been called away to war, so they put several women over there at Mount Zion, and there was a stage. That had a curtain, and I think the women had their beds up there. They stayed from Monday to Friday, and then they'd go home.
So you left 8th grade and went to high school. You said you come to, actually got to ride the bus.
Actually, you got to ride the bus.
So was that on the high school that was on Elizabeth Street at that time?
Yeah, high school that.
Now, what year would that have been?
I graduated in 1957 with your daddy.
Yes. Now, what was it like going from and how big was Mount Zion? Was it just a few rooms?
Oh, no, Mount Zion we'd have well over 100, I guess, because, we had 5 grades. Let's say 20. They'd put 20 into 20? I had 40 in some of my drama classes at the high school.
So at then like this would have been in the mid-50s, you take the bus and go.
It was a lot of kids, to come in, but what I think was awful was in August and September when you hopped on that bus, they had all the windows down and it was packed and people were standing up from the back to the driver up there. When he took off, everybody went back this way. When he threw on his brakes, everybody went this way. And smelly? I don't think people knew what deodorant was. And some people, they didn't know what bath. That was it.
Tell me about coming into high school. You go to the big city, you ride the bus, you go to the big city, go to high school, which I guess was Ashland City High School.
Cheatham County High.
Did they call it Cheatham County High School? Okay. Cheatham County High School. What was that? What was that like for someone coming from East Cheatham and you had that and you go to the big city and you're in high school? You got a lot of people.
You gave
met
me
for the
another
first time.
thing to brag. From the answers that some of these kids gave in class, I thought, how stupid are you? But I did learn to keep my mouth shut. I love Miss Effie May. Some of the others, she's on gone. I love Miss Nanny Harris. A lot of people didn't like Miss Nanny, but I loved both of them. I love to read. I love to do all that kind of stuff. But I knew I wasn't dumb. Now I'm going to tell you this. And I'd always made good grades, so I made good grades in high school. And then I was the shortest kid in my class in 1957, but I was also valedictorian.
You were valedictorian,
Yeah.
class 57.
Yeah.
That's
You
awesome.
didn't know that?
I did not know that. That's why we do these interviews, so we find things
Yeah, I
out.
was valedictorian.
Well, that's awesome.
Yeah. And then I had a brother. I'm going to talk about him now. I had a brother who was number 6 in his class, and he became a lawyer. Harry Leon Perry. See, we called him Harry all these years. Harry, dear old Harry Truman. But when he went off to the Navy, somebody laughed at him and said, "That's so Harry." And do you know when he came home from the Navy, he forced all of us to start
Just
calling him
Leon.
Leon Perry. Leon Perry. He became a lawyer. He was an elected representative from Robertson, Cheatham. He did very well, but then he became bipolar and lost everything.
He was a very good
He
student.
was a good kid, a good boy, an excellent brother. He and I could sit down at the table and we could talk till 12 without talking about people, politics, that kind of stuff.
Finished high school, valedictorian.
Yeah.
And where'd you go to college?
I went the first 2 years. I went to Free Baptist Bible College out on West End, and I did that simply because the pastor we had was a young man who encouraged me. I hadn't even thought about going there, really. Not that, no, hadn't even thought about it. But thank goodness that old farmer daddy, he always had a calf to sell or two to help pay tuition. And remember all those vegetables we had in the summer? And help, okay, 2 years there. But once I started freshman year, I knew I could transfer all of my credits to Peabody College. So at the end of 2 years, I transferred to Peabody, and then I went in summers, both summers, and that way I got out early.
Did you know at what point did you say I want to be a teacher? Did you know that going?
I meant by the time I was a freshman
You
in
knew-
college, I knew it. Yeah, and Aunt and I both knew we'd teach by then.
Did you decide I want to be? Did you know what kind of teacher? Did you want to be an
No,
English
it's going to be
teacher?
in English probably.
So you finished George Peabody. You
Finished
early,
George
'cause you're going to the
Peabody, yeah. And but I did not have my student teaching. I said I went the summers. That was 2 summers. And so I said, hey, I was a poor country girl. I need to get a job. So I talked to Miss Bess Jordan, and she let me come up to East Cheatham. I was the first PE teacher in the elementary school. I didn't know what I was doing.
Did you have any classes?
Peabody had a heated pool, so I loved that.
So-
But that didn't prepare me for elementary school.
Well, I think Rich Donnie Jordan, his first job, that was how I met Donnie Jordan 9 years old. He was a PE teacher at West Cheatham.
At West
First man
Cheatham.
teacher that we had, and the first PE teacher, standalone PE teacher.
Yeah, and I came along and taught Donnie Jordan later. Once I did my student teaching, then that 64 was the first class.
64. So 64,
63, 64, I think, was the first class, yeah.
you've got all your student teaching done, and you're on your own in 1964. And that was...
63, fall of 63, I
63.
came to the high school.
Okay, so you were back at the high school you attended after, you go back to the high school you graduated from. And so what were you teaching? You were teaching English?
English, and I had some meanies in there. I had a lot of good kids.
Absolutely.
I loved them. And that's the reason I stayed in it for 35 years, I guess. I loved them.
So started in 63, 64, English.
Yeah, public speaking class, speech. And then, I don't know, this was in about the first 3. I remember having this business math class, and one of the most popular people, most wonderful citizen of Cheatham County was in that class, and that was Stephen Stratton.
Ms. Mayo, we're going to take a quick break, and we will be right back after this word from the Cheatham County Archives and the Cheatham County Library.
Shh. Welcome to Cheatham County Library in Ashland City, where not only can you check out a book, but you can do so much more.
Tennessee is number one in the country for election integrity. The Heritage Foundation named Tennessee the state where it's easiest to vote and hardest to cheat. Laws passed by the General Assembly, administered by the 95 county election commissions, protect your ballot box.
The Cheatham County Archives houses the county's founding documents. Our oldest document dates to 1854, 2 years before Cheatham County was established. Founded in 2019, the Archives preserves priceless documents and photographs. Visitors are welcomed Monday through Wednesday, 8 a.m. to 4 p.m.
So, and when you were in high school, did you do any drama? Or did they have that available at
I
Ashland
think
Cheatham
that
County
we
High
had
School?
senior play, and I think they'd have a junior play, and it'd just be a poor teacher who was a volunteer to do it. And that would pull it off. I can't even remember that. But see, we had no theater, but then even out here I still call it the new school. The new school, the theater was not finished that first year.
It took a year and a half. before they got
Yeah,
it
till
open.
they got it, and then that was, woo, big time.
Oh, that was fancy.
Big
That was
time.
fancy. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Miss Mayo, good to, let's, do any teachers or principals or superintendents, because you were in the system several years.
35 years.
35 years, 3.5 decades. And plus you came through the system, you're a product of the Cheatham County system, then went back to serve in the
Yeah.
system, which I think is awesome. Any particular teachers, principals, superintendents that come to mind that were, as you think about back on your career?
I'm too truthful. No.
You're too truthful. Well,
The
okay.
things I'm thinking, I do not want posterity to remember me as saying.
Can you tell them somebody else and they say it? All right, that's fine.
No, if I can't let out my own steam, I'm not going to let them.
Keep your steam to yourself. Absolutely. And over the,
Oh, I'll tell you this, there
Okay.
was one superintendent, he really, really liked me, and I liked him. But in his older years, we would say this, he couldn't say blank with a mouthful. That poor man could never get to the point. We loved him, he's passed on.
well, I understand. I wasn't fishing for, I wasn't fishing for dirt.
Now, next question.
I call you drama mom. Just
Yeah,
like
I was
just like the name on the theater. It's got
Yeah,
your
I'll
name.
never forget when the kids first started calling me that, I didn't like it.
And like I said, you're drama mom and you'll always be drama mom.
Thank you, Kerry.
Some of the best memories I have of high school, and I was there from 75 to 79. And of course, you were there at the theater and some of the
From
plays and stuff.
1963 on.
Yes, but I mean, in my era that
Yeah.
I knew and came in to know and love Joyce Mayo was during that
Yeah.
time. And there were several productions during that time. Of course, Oklahoma. Did anything top Oklahoma? And, I mean, that was definitely in the 4 years I was there.
I will have to say, as far as the number of people who saw the show and the comments that you get out in the community. But you see, it was so costly when you had to pay royalties. You have to, for people who think that these shows you get them free. Even Catch Me If You Can, where it scared me to death. Royalties are so high that you have to save, and the only way, what we did, I said we sold our talents. And you kids had to work weeks and weeks and weeks to get it. And I would try to bring everything I could from home to get the sets and whatever. And so we didn't get to do a lot of big name shows, but big name shows were the shows that would bring in the crowds of people.
And it was 10 sold out performances. I remember.
10, the house was full, And then also, the principal would let us have our school shows, for the 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade, and we could make some money. That was I learned about the International Thespian Society. And then we started going up there to Muncie, Indiana.
Oh, those are great.
And that was so eye-opening for all of you kids.
No.
Even if David Simpson
I started saying, you missed the real trip. The one you took out and David Simpson escorted us up there. That was...
Let me put in plug for David. David was he had a good heart. My daddy died, and we were already paid to go. My heart was heavy from losing my daddy, but knowing that I was supposed to take these kids, David came and he said, I will take these kids. And the things that you have told me.
Well, I can say this because I went 1 year with you, and then 2 years later we go back with David, which was the last year. You had everything. This is where you will be. A, B, C, D, E. Everything was set. We got there. He opened the bus door and said, "I'll see y'all in 3 hours." And then 2 days later, we'd see him somewhere, and he goes, "No, we're going to leave tomorrow. Y'all be back over here at this time." That was the whole. And so, like I said, it led to.
David was wonderful.
But he was great.
And you see kids that you had 30 years ago or whatever, and they are so glad that they had to stand up in front of a class and lose their fear of speaking in public. And I just had a young man tell me today that he said, I can speak before 600 people. It doesn't bother me now.
So, but there were other things that happened in high school, forensic tournaments. We go to Lambeth.
Yeah, I love
those are some of the
Lambeth.
best. Oh, I love Lambeth.
And I'll never forget, I had never taught Bill Jones a thing about radio. We get down there at Lambeth, and he says, Miss Mayo, I'm going to enter the radio speaking whatever. Good, go for it. And he told me this after he went to MTSU. Bill said, Miss Mayo, I'm going to California. If I fail, I'll fail. If I make it, I'll make it. But he said, I don't want to wake up when I'm 52 and say, why did you not do it? Why did I not do that? That's the reason I tell you, it's never too late as long as you breathe to do the thing you have a passion to do.
Absolutely.
Do it.
And Bill's one of the success stories.
Bill is a success story.
He was in
I
Glee.
love him.
He was in Glee.
In Glee. Listen, he called me and he would say, I unabashedly am tooting my own horn. And I'd sit back, keep tooting, Bill, keep tooting.
Absolutely. But there were of course, Shonda Pierce. Shonda Pierce.
Shonda is my love,
Another one that was through the high school.
I'm so proud of her.
And there was other things that you brought to the stage.
I remember
fall
those.
frolics and comedy shows. Ricky Knox.
And I'll never forget Brad Fields dropped somebody's pig off the stage as a pig for the comedy show. Oh, who was that? Okay. Tommy Ellis and Brad Fields. And somebody had their pig, Jimbo Apple. He came riding his bicycle, ran out there at the back, came in and came down and fell off on the stage. I thought you were going to kill yourself, Jimbo.
But I mean, like I said, it was just was such a good
I
time.
love the comedy shows at the end of the year.
It was kind of like the send off of the year, and
Yeah.
everybody's in. And
Everybody
coming
laughed and had a good time.
We always had that, and then you did the fall frolics where
Yeah.
it was more of a variety
And
show.
remember, there were 4 school teachers, Mickey Dice and David, I guess, Alvin Rose and Bruce Gibbs. I think they made a quartet. I've got some, but they blended very well, and people love to hear their teachers sing.
Oh, they did a great job. They did a great job. When did you retire? You had 35 years in. When did you retire? What year was it?
I retired in 1997.
97.
I was 57 years old.
97. You walked away. Did you miss it?
I'm glad that I retired at 57 because Raven only lived till 2005. And I'm glad we got to have about 7 years of doing as we pleased.
What would you tell a new teacher today who's just getting out of college and they're going to start this fall and they hope to do 35 years in a system like you did? What would you tell, or what would you make sure that person?
That is a superb question. Adapt and adjust. That's what I got to remember. You have to learn to adapt and adjust. Even after the new school was built, I might go in at 8 o'clock that morning and the principal come over and say, "Oh, Miss Mayo, I forgot to tell you, the 55 coon hunters of Cheatham County want to use the theater at 8 o'clock this morning." And I would say, "Thank you, sir. We will find another room to go to." My name is Joyce Adapt and Adjust Mayo.
Ms. Mayo, it's been an absolute pleasure. As always.
Well,
I love talking.
it's been good to talk to you, Kerry.
As always.
I'm so proud of you.
I brag on you all the time. It's one of my
Yeah, well, thank you.
favorite teachers.
Oh, a woman I know a woman loves to hear these good things. It doesn't just go through one ear and out the other.
Well,
Oh, let me give one final
the
tribute.
mic is yours. You tell us whatever's on your mind.
One final tribute
Okay.
is to a man who has made the archives what it is.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's the man who played the dead man in our town.
The man, the myth.
Walter Pitt.
Walter Pitt.
Hey, Walter!
Again, Ms. Mayo, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Hi, Miss Mayo. You know that I love you, and I'm so glad that we've been friends all of these years because I've only been out of high school for like 2 years. You are just the love of my life. You light up my life. You remember that song? It's been a delight to know you, to be with you every time. But if I had not walked through your door at Cheatham County High School and sat in that theater in those classes, I'm really not sure I'd be doing what I do today. And for that, I'm extremely grateful. And you are a blessing to so many. So glad that Cheatham County had you.
People ask me, is there anyone in your life who has been a very positive influence for you? And there's a very short list. And at the top of that list is Joyce Mayo. Mrs. Mayo, as I still refer to her, because I just cannot be disrespectful to someone who has been such an important part of my development at a very crucial stage. The encouragement that you gave me and have given countless others has been so important. And I think that's something that's important to state. It's like that pebble that goes into the pond and you see the ripples get bigger and bigger and wider. You've touched people in the entire body of water in a very positive way, whether it be in your speech classes where people feel more confident when they get up to speak in their daily lives, whether it be in the drama classes or when you've directed people in plays. That's a special part that you have helped to nurture within these people. And you've changed an immeasurable number of lives because of it. And I just want to say thank you. Love you, Mrs. Mayo.
That's going to wrap up today's interview. Again, if you have someone in mind that you, an icon, a legend of Cheatham County, or could bring Cheatham County history alive for us on this video and in the interviews, let us know. We'd be glad to try to line that up. Again, thank you so much. Till we meet again, you take care and stay safe.